Hey guys, Broadus here at the Crown Global Media Studios here in Irving, Texas. Just got done with the game film. Kind of a long day here at Crown. Got a lot of things done. We're getting ready for our launch on September 1st. Really excited about that. Getting things built, getting things put together. So really just hang with us here. We're getting this thing together. Myself, Foch Lombardi, we're looking forward to being able to provide you guys with some quality broadcasting as we get ready for this Cowboys season. I do want to make give you some ideas of what I saw on the game film. And I want to say, after two really, poor games, Joe Milton was outstanding in this game. And I felt like the coaches let Joe Milton be Joe Milton. We saw his ability to run with the football. We saw a little bit more of these college offense elements that I talked to, the RPOs, things like that. They were able to incorporate those. And it wasn't Joe Milton, the just drop back and play in the pocket guy. It was Joe, or stand in the pocket and throw the ball. It was Joe Milton moving around a little bit. It wasn't so many of the waggles and the boots and things like that we've seen before, but it was a little bit more of like there was some play action. Man, he makes back-to-back throws off just play action, playing under center, making the play action, the fake, turning back, finding his guy, whether it's the out route, deep out, or down the field. I mean, he made some really, really good throws. And, Joe Milton, if you look at him on the film, the touchdown to Brooks, where before we'd never seen Joe Milton really hold a safety with his eyes. We'd seen Joe Milton kind of stare down the receiver, and then they makes the throw, and then you have an interception that way. I thought he did a much better job of playing with his eyes, seeing, but also being accurate with throwing the football. I mean, he threw some ropes, stand on the right hash, throw all the way out to the left sidelines. Man, those were some big-time throws that he was made. And he finally rewarded some of his receivers for some really good routes. I think with Ryan Flournoy, with Jalen Brooks, I thought that they did a super job of catching the football. Holden was involved. So good routes, good plays, good execution, good throws, and everybody benefits that. The offense was moving the football. They got kind of a nice little mix with some runs, but with Joe Milton being able to run the football himself, but also the way he threw the football. That's kind of what you really kind of expected. The offense, when it was going along, it's because of with Joe Milton and what he was able to do. In the first two games, he really wasn't good enough. But the third one, they just kind of let him play football out there, and I thought it benefited him quite a bit. I mentioned about the wide receivers. I thought they played well overall, though that's going to be an interesting dynamic at how they play this. I think that Mingo is going to go on the IR list with the chance to come back. You're able to designate two players that you can put on IR. They don't have to be on. We have to play that roster gymnastics. You can just put them on IR, and then you can designate them for return. So you have two opportunities to do that. I think that Mingo is going to be one of those guys. So that means Flournoy, Brooks, we'll see if they carry 5, if they carry 6. I've been talking about that pretty often. It might have to be some of the other positions that they might need to go a little bit longer in that. I want to talk about with what we saw from Jadon Blue in this game. And unfortunately, he went out late with the ankle injury. It seems like that everything is going to be okay, but you saw some really good things from Jadon Blue. And I mean that as way as some of the runs he had. There was a couple plays where it wasn't blocked clean, and he didn't get the traction that he should have, but there was other times where he was able to hit the hole, read the blocks, follow the blocks, and then make positive runs and finish the runs with some physicality. Run inside, down on the goal line, bam, just get in there, and then the toughness he showed on the 1-yard run to beat the linebacker, to run through the linebacker to get into the end zone. So that was a very positive thing for me to see. I thought Deuce Vaughn played very well in this football game. He's Deuce Vaughn. It's about. If I could circle back real quick about Blue, there was one thing that popped in my mind. We saw Blue playing offense, but on special teams, he was involved in like 2 tackles, covering kicks. One of the times, one of the first kickoffs the Cowboys had, maybe the very first kickoff he had, Jalen Blue with the tackle, beats a block, gets off the block, boom, makes a tackle right there. Then later in the game, they have another opportunity. He runs down there. He's involved. He's like assisting on the tackle. So, if you talk about special teams and how these guys have to play, he had a blitz pickup where he crossed all the way across the pocket, left to right, saw his guy, boom, picked him up right there, gave Joe Milton a little time to get the ball away. So, run the football, pass protect. We didn't see with the catching aspect of it all, but then on special teams, he's able to do a couple of things. So wanted to circle back about that, talking about Deuce Vaughn now. Deuce Vaughn was one of those guys, and we always talk about him and just the lack of height, but Deuce Vaughn, same thing. His ability to run the football, to be tough, the crack toss stuff that they did, the outside runs he had, the ability to make people miss in space and then get around the corner, get a couple of good blocks downfield, and then almost score, put the Cowboys down in a position where Joe Milton was able to get it in. It's a shame. I mean, these backs, Blue showed up, Moffitt showed up, Vaughn showed up. They all did a pretty solid job, and we'll see how this thing plays out. I don't know, and I'm saying I don't know. I just don't understand how this is all going to shake out. And my apologies to you guys, because I felt like I kind of had a little bit of a handle coming out of Oxnard, but I really don't. They kind of seeing some things a little bit differently than I would do. And so, we didn't see Williams practice. There were some questions about Miles Sanders' health. I was told he was okay. So that was really kind of a healthy scratch situation. So I don't know how they're gonna play these running backs. I don't know how many running backs they're going to keep. You always have to include Hunter Lipke in these things. So, I was talking to some people. Oh, looks like Deuce made the team. No, well, maybe not. Well, look, Moffitt's going to make it. No, Moffitt's not. There's a lot of questions about these running backs right now, and we'll have to answer all those. All right, the tight ends, I felt Fairweather, Fant, both those guys showed up. Fairweather catching the football, Fant as a blocker. Ken talking to Todd Archer, of ESPN. Todd thinks they're going to carry 4 tight ends with Fant being the 4th tight end, because there's some questions about Span Ford's availability with the injury, and then with Luke Schoonmaker, will he get cleared for the concussion? We'll see how that all plays out. So I thought that the 2 tight ends showed up really, really well in this game. On the defensive side of the ball, I just don't know how you don't have Perion Winfrey on this team. I don't, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to play with these tackles that are active, that get up the field. Winfrey is clearly one of those guys. Solomon Thomas, clearly one of those guys. They've got guys that play this position. Oso Digizua, that play that position where they're going to get up the field. They're not going to go toe-to-toe people. They're going to play the slant front. They're going to try and get up the field, be disruptive, and then have the linebackers fit behind that. That Mozzie Smith, mentioned to him at a defensive tackle. There's some thought about maybe they move on from Mozzie. Kind of hearing some whispers that maybe that Jerry Jones is saying, one more chance here. We'll see what happens on the roster reduction on Tuesday. But right now, it sounds like that Mozzie Smith is going to be part of this rotation. But Winfrey was outstanding in this football game, and you have to give him a tip of the cap for him coming in and just being the type of player. I mean, he's shown up in practice. He's shown up in these games. He needs to be on this football team. I thought that Tyrus Wheat did a really nice job as well. James Houston, there's a lot of questions about James Houston. He's been playing very, very well. He pressures. He's explosive. He did something really interesting, with tackle sets. He kind of puts his hand out there like he's going to engage, and then the tackle goes where he ducks his hand and then gets underneath. That's just kind of the heady plays that he's able to make. So, he's in the mix. Wheat, I think, is in the mix. Wheat plays the run, rushes the passer. There might not be enough spots for guys like this. I thought that in the linebackers, I thought Shamar James, I thought he was really, really good. Now, I will say this, though. The touchdown play that went to Franks in the flat, that's Shamar James. They're going to blitz, and he's got to come out of that hole and pick up the flat where Franks was. At the ball, he went ahead and blitzed. They had double A-gap blitz. He should have been faking like he was going to blitz and dive out of there. And that was just a mistake, unfortunately, for the team that gave up a touchdown. But that was it. It's rookie mistake, but the interception he had, the ability to tackle the way he has, the way he's played downhill, I thought was really, really impressive in this football game. Have to give a tip of the hat too to way Mike Smith, the safety, the way he's played. We didn't see him and Elijah Clark were the two guys that were primarily involved in the safety play in this game, and I thought both of them did a really, really nice job. So probably a couple of young safeties. We'll see what happens. Do they get put on the practice squads? Are they going to make the team? Elijah Clark was one of the high dollar UDFAs. We'll see if he makes the team. Is there a spot for him? But I thought Clark and Smith at safety did really, really well. I mentioned James at linebacker, Winfrey at defensive tackle, James Houston, and Wheat as well. So overall, I thought it was a really good game, especially with the game the way that Joe Milton played. Hopefully Joe Milton, we won't see him the rest of the year. Dak Prescott has his health, and then we could see this team kind of develop that way. So those were my thoughts for the game, and I hope you enjoy them. Make sure you're checking out things we're doing at Crown Global Media. Like I say, Voch Lombardi and I are going to start our podcast together, The Doing All Right. That will be housed on Crown Global Media. Voch will be doing some of his work. I'll still be doing my work with 105.3 The Fan, Love of the Star, the podcast with Jeff Kavanaugh, Trust the Tape. All that work will still be out there for you guys to consume. So again, take care, and I'll catch up with you again soon.